Turbulence theory, a disturbance associated with change. Steve Gross, how flight turbulence evolved into educational turbulence. Gross grew up around flying and evolved into a career pilot. This all changed one day when on a commercial flight he was involved in severe turbulence. From that day, he developed a fear of flight. This led him to question levels of disturbances and relate them to education. Gross stumbled upon a book for beginning pilots that detailed the levels of turbulence. The levels were described as light, moderate, severe, and extreme turbulence, each level having a greater issue and consequence. Gross set off to study and develop his theory and examine it in different school environments. Elementary school and light turbulence. Two communities into one school. Community number 1, upper middle class, live near the school. Community number 2, working class, living a good ways from the school. The fear of school leaders and the PTO was that one group would be more connected and have more power in school matters based on location and social economics. This led to continuous observations and reflections. Concern is present in this environment, but there has been little to no escalation. Gross's 4 questions at each school observed. Number 1. What is the level of disturbance? Number 2. What is the emotional strength of the disturbance? Number 3. Determine the disturbance level to come up with an action. Number 4. Is there a positive aspect of the disturbance, or is it always detrimental? Positive turbulence in establishing the current level of turbulence, going into the wind for flight. Moving forward and developing from turbulence can turn into positive outcomes or progressions. Gross first observed these in nature by way of wind and water flow. He used these as metaphors that could apply to the educational world. From this ideology and the development process, Gross observed a series of contextual forces. These forces were standpoint, positionality, cascade, and stability. Standpoint and positionality. Standpoint. In standpoint theory, history is shared within a group. We each have our own individualized experiences in life, but the positives and negatives could resemble particular groups of people with similar experiences. Positionality. In positionality theory, we as people have aspects of our life that cross over with others. Examples of this can be social class. Social classes can cross and change over time. It pertains to current position and the experience of a former position. Cascade and stability. Cascade. In cascade, a turbulent situation picks up speed and as it takes turns and falls. As one bad aspect of a situation occurs, another one can build on it, and so on until it becomes extreme turbulence. Forces in the environment lead to increased issues. Stability. What is the perceived stance before there is any turmoil? This is the stability of the situation. Stability is always changing and moving, which means it is dynamic. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. This nation asks for action, and action now. Protecting Young Children in Terrifying Times. Case Study 2. Occurred during 9/11 terrorist attacks. The event occurred at a private daycare located very close to the Twin Towers. Principal took control and established an emergency management plan. Parents were contacted and requirements were set in place for their children to be released. Plan for employee departure. In this situation, a principal had to recognize that there were attacks and an unsafe situation occurring outside. Her first priority was to stay calm and the safety of their students and staff. She set an emergency management plan into action, locking down the school. She then required parents to be calm and rational before their children could leave with them. She also recommended to the parents that they go home. She allowed staff to be informed, but not let the situation cascade into chaos in the school. Her staff was allowed to leave as student numbers dropped. A new teacher was one of the last to leave, and she was finally told to go. Eventually, every student was picked up by one parent. Based off the documented story, this administrator used the severe level of turbulence and developed a process using all ethics of questioning to reduce the turbulence and avoid chaos. Ensuring safety in school, physically and emotionally. Case Study 3. Death by a weapon of a staff member. Emergency management plan was implemented. Assigned duties to members of the staff and district. Maintain order, avoiding chaos. Questions about the weapon on school grounds will need to be answered. The principal is notified by the director of technology that a staff member has passed away in a room. Next to this teacher is a gun. The principal locates the deceased teacher's students first and makes sure they are safe. Miss Warner then advised the staff members present to call key people, the office, Code Blue, coroner, and police department. The Code Blue was a building lockdown, but teachers continued to teach. The superintendent and other members of the district hierarchy were notified and on the scene to help advise. She then sets up criteria for notifying the staff of the situation. A written statement was prepared to read to the students at this point. Other buildings in the district were notified and grief teams were put in place. Parents were encouraged to leave their students at school, but a team was prepared if students began to arrive. A press conference was scheduled by the superintendent and the coroner for the media. This principal took all of the emergency management plans and used the parts that applied to this situation. She also included all powers needed to have a cohesive effort in this time. She was quick and allowed for knowledge to be obtained by all in the orderly manner. This took an extreme situation and brought it down to a moderate one, never letting it develop any further.